I like how the entrance to Spooktastic World is surrounded by bouncing hearts. And birds. Although we just scared the birds away, so never mind. It is the least frightening entrance to what should be a frightening location.
Here we go.
But, not that that matters. I was starting to talk about last time how I used to make lots of player's guides, and this was one of the games that inspired me for those player's guides. Like I've said it before, I said this back in... Well, I've probably said this in the last 2 LPs that I've done. Last 2 completed LPs. Well, I don't know why that's the wording that I chose. The last 2 Let's Plays that I have finished. Gosh, I hate these things. This might be my least favorite level, just because of these stupid things. There are a few of these doors, and there's not really a great way to bypass them, and you have to hit them 3 times every time. And they're just annoying. But yeah, back when I was a youngin' and didn't know how to make video games, the next best thing was making player's guides for video games that did not exist, out of pencil and paper. And I was particularly inspired by this game at one point in time, and I wanted to make player's guides for games similar to this. Because I liked collectathons, I like platformers, and because this game all takes place in one camera perspective, which is another similarity to Luigi's Mansion that I forgot about, because it's all from one perspective, except for these little mini levels where you sometimes have to change the camera. Oh look, we've got the Super Mario RPG 3D maze, except way, way easier. Yeah, it was easier to draw out levels that way, so that was one of the reasons that I found it kind of inspiring, I guess. And we've got ourselves whole lines of enemies, and another one of these guys. Love these guys. Don't you just love when a game forces the same mini-boss on you multiple times throughout a game? I mean, that was one of my not really complaints, just observations about Mario Sunshine. Like, that game has a lot of repeated mini-bosses, but I didn't mind that. In this game I do, because they're all kind of tedious to fight. They're always... you have to wait for the right time to attack. And in this level alone, I think there's 2 of them. Because there's this one, and then there's another one at the top of... oh, you know what? I forgot to do what I was supposed to do there. Which is... spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round. I think it's kind of a neat effect, though. And I also like how at nighttime, the glowing W's underneath the treasure chests are reversed in color. Let's see, okay, oop. I think that's all this is all I need to do. That was a simple one. Hello, Spriteling. The swirly slabs. Looks like the swirly slabs can move. What does that remind me of? There's stupid wording like that in another game, and I can't remember what it is. Maybe just, like, Metalhead Mario can move? Is that it? Except that's not as stupid, so maybe that's not it. Oh well. Got another skeleton. Skeleton snakes from the wall, except it's not a snake, it's just a hand. Wow, I am really losing health here. Despite this not being a particularly hard game, and also being one of the earlier levels in this not particularly hard game. Oh well. Indeed, get out of here. I enjoy Wario's antics. My favorite of his is Have a Rotten Day. Which sometimes I do have. Something that I kind of discovered recently is that I have a habit of wearing clothes that reflect how I feel on that day. Thankfully, falling off of these levels does not take any health off, because sometimes it's very easy to fall off. I feel like the jump button should be working a little bit more than it is. Alright, anyway. Oh, you know what? Actually, before I continue that other thought, I remember coming to this specific level to test, like, how the collision detection works, because I wanted to use that as a reference for my game. So I just kind of held onto this ledge for a while and waited until Wario, like, brushed up against one of the... Yep. Yeah, you saw that. You saw the collision. They actually made it work in such a way where he doesn't get crushed, he doesn't, like, go into the wall. He just kind of squishes a little bit, almost. So, good on them for considering... This game is just a very well-programmed game, which you kind of wouldn't expect, considering, you know, it's just a Wario game, when usually you would expect the really well-programmed games to be more like Mario or Zelda or something. At least that's how I think. I'm not sure if others think that way, but I'm impressed with how well this game is programmed, when it seems like it wouldn't be given that much attention for being, you know, a kind of short, lesser advertised game. And another one of these. And I ignore the coins, because I ain't care. The red crystal. Gosh. Once again, I have forgotten what my train of thought was that I was going on. But I know that at the top of this tower here, there's another one of those silly crystal boss fights. But not the Crystal Caves boss music from Donkey Kong 64 that I love so much. It is my favorite boss music in that game. Wonder if there's any way that I can avoid this boss. Like, can I just sneak around the edge? Because as soon as you enter the circle, the circular area, you get into the boss fight. Maybe I can avoid it. Maybe I just don't need to fight that mini boss after all. I'm gonna ignore you. Because I don't want to deal with you today. Not today, Satan. I have no idea what that's from. I just remember hearing it in one of the Camp episodes, and I assume that it is probably from something else. I accidentally paid for some money, or not, paid for some money, that's what I meant to say. Accidentally paid for a garlic chunk by talking to... What is the actual word for that? It's garlic something. Garlic sprout? Garlic bulb, that's what it is. Yeah, because whenever you punch the garlic vendor, he gives you some garlic and then you eat it, and it restores some of your health, and it's nice. Whoop. So yeah, I punched him on accident. That is not something that you can say very often. I know that sometimes people do punch other people by accident, like maybe they trip over and they just happen to be holding out their fist, I don't know. I guess accidental slaps are more common. And you know what? Another enemy that I don't particularly like happens to be in this level. It's this guy. Because whenever you attack him, he does a supercharged move that I have grown accustomed to avoiding now, because it's killed me enough times that I now look out for it. I'm just getting electrocuted left and right, and back and forth, and up and down, and round and round. The merry-go-round. So what else has happened to me lately? I don't remember if I ever mentioned in a video that I saw Spider-Man Homecoming, or The Babadook. I saw both of those, whenever I was at my brother's place. And I enjoyed both of them. Actually, I watched Pan's Labyrinth as well. I saw all 3 of those movies, and also the new Star Wars, so I could start talking about all 4 of those if I wanted to. This level goes on for a little while, so yeah, I think I'll do that. But where to start? Which one should I start with? I guess Spider-Man Homecoming would be the one that would be most logical to start off with, since that's the one that I believe I saw first. I thought for a while that I didn't really like superhero movies very much, or I liked them kind of, but I didn't think any of them were all that different from each other. It just felt like the same movie over and over and over again. But I've been watching some that I happen to really like, such as Doctor Strange. I really liked Doctor Strange, except for the fact that the way Doctor Strange becomes crippled in his hands, like he acquires his shaky hands by doing something immensely stupid. I'm not gonna get over that. Like, why would you... Well, I get that his character is that he's really cocky and thinks he can do more than he actually can, but really, why would you, on a twisty, turny, cliffside road, analyze surgical documents while driving? Like, why would you do that? Nobody is stupid enough to do that. Well, maybe some people are, but I wouldn't expect someone like him to be stupid enough to do that. Because he is a surgeon. I don't know. But anyway, I overall quite liked that movie, and I liked Spider-Man Homecoming quite a bit. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be. Very action-packed. I didn't like the high school aspect of it, but then again, I just don't like high school, or didn't like high school, so that would be... I don't know if it's a fair, like... They made it accurate, I guess, is the best way to put it. They made it accurately dislikable, or unlikable. So, I didn't like that part of the movie because they did it correctly. So I can't really say that it was, you know, a bad part. Is that all I really have to say about that movie? I mean, I thought initially, because of the high school parts of it, that I wasn't going to like it as much as the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, which I find fun in their own right. At least the first 2, maybe not that third one. The second one I really liked, even though it's not relevant to the plot at all. I don't know, I thought it was just a cool movie in general. I could really use some health soon, but it's not going to happen unless I talk to the vending machine guy. And whenever I say talk to, I mean punch. I thought that at first I wouldn't like it as much, but then I did. It got really good. And then, over at my brother's house, I also saw The Babadook, because I wanted to watch more horror-type movies, and The Babadook was one of the ones that I was curious about, mostly because of the weird, like... Well, not mostly because of the weird LGBT exposure that it got. The Babadook as a gay icon, just because it was put in the wrong place on Netflix. No, I was just curious about the concept, mostly. Because I think the concept sounded interesting, and I wanted to see how it was handled. I don't like how the movie was recorded at a high frame rate. Now there's a game over. Now you get to see what they look like. I meant to do that. Yeah, we'll pay 200 coins. It's no skin off our back, I guess. Since we have plenty of money. As would be expected of Wario. And I think it's like... Okay, well, it wasn't right over here that the vending machine guy... Could we punch him from this side? Yeah, apparently we can. And apparently I can also... Okay, I can almost get the garlic, but not quite. And I just spent some more money by accident. Never mind. You know what, I'm just gonna give up on that. Give up on that train of thought. Not that train of thought. Bleh. Give up. Give up the garlic. Give up the booze. Babadook high frame rate. That was my last thing that I was mentioning. Wasn't a fan of that. It is the same reason that I probably will never watch The Hobbit, because I've heard that The Hobbit is just really hard to watch because it's recorded at, I think, 48 frames per second instead of the usual 24. And they didn't add motion blur or anything, so it just looks really unnatural and almost sickening, like you get motion sickness watching it. I think a number of people did. But it wasn't too bad with the Babadook because there isn't a whole lot of movement in that movie. There's not lots of shifting camera angles or anything, so it worked reasonably well. Oh shoot. I just remembered this is one of the harder... I don't know if I did this very well. Because I need one of these guys to smash, to pile drive that door. But I don't actually have... Where did all the enemies go? Why did they all disappear? This game has some odd spawnings sometimes. Okay, there they are. Stay there this time. Don't go out of my sight. Do that. Pick this one up really quickly. Jump up. Alright. And then that guy in the background spawned, so I could have just used him, but oh well. This one's really stupid. It can be difficult, but I managed to get that one first try somehow. Normally I don't. On to the rest of my movie rant, since I keep getting distracted from that. Next movie on the list was Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, I thought that that was going to be a horror movie. That's what it seemed like from the trailer that I watched, and just from generally what I've heard about the movie, but it didn't seem like it was a horror movie at all whenever I watched it. So I just completely misinterpreted what it was about. I didn't like it as much. It is for sure a well-done movie. It's kind of artsy. It's ambiguous. Oh. I'm missing something. I'm missing one of the... I need to figure out where that is before I proceed any further. There's a lot to appreciate about Pan's Labyrinth for sure, but it's not really a movie that I can say I particularly enjoyed watching. And then the new Star Wars. I should probably talk about that at some point, because it is the new Star Wars. I don't know if I ever talked about the Force Awakens in a video, which it seems like I probably should have, because it was relevant at one point in time, and it's still kind of relevant now. My main thoughts about that movie are, it kind of had to play it safe to reel everyone back into the series, and I think it did a good job being just safe enough without being too familiar. And then a lot of people didn't like it because it played things too safe. On the other hand, a lot of people don't like The Last Jedi because it did the exact opposite of that and took a lot of risks, which is actually what I loved about the movie. I'm one of the people who thought it was really good, and I think the best way to describe my feelings on the movie without saying anything that happens in it, I really appreciate how it basically takes all the common unspoken rules of movie making, like how you set up a good scene, how you set up a good villain, how you set up a good, like, twist or climax or whatever. Just anything that would lead to a normal, satisfying story that everyone would love. It takes all those rules and pretty much says, screw those. We don't need all of those. And the movie just doesn't feel quite like any other movie that I've ever seen. it's really entertaining to watch because it kind of subverts your expectations, I guess. Here's a strange boss. All of them are strange bosses. It's kind of redundant for me to say that, but this is just one that I remember particularly for its odd design. It's basically just a dummy, and I am the ventriloquist because I am going to control it. I don't know where I was going with that. I was going to try to make a joke out of it, and then I didn't actually come up with a punchline. Here, this is my punchline. I am punching you. Except I'm not actually punching you, because you're way over there. There, now I'm punching you. I like how its halo is a star. I also like how its wings are detached, which seems to be a really common thing. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why it's a common artistic thing to have wings that are detached from whatever they're supposed to be attached to. Like, thinking just randomly, I think that a lot of Toho characters are that way. Any Toho character that has wings, the wings are usually detached from the character. The Palladium boss, however that's pronounced, in Klonoa, has wings that are detached from its body. Even though, you know, wings usually have that, just look at the wings of a bird, and that's kind of what angel wings are supposed to generally look like. So I'm not sure why that's so common. Because I don't even think that detached arms or legs or anything are as common as detached wings. Detached heads, maybe. Oh boy. That was a little bit more than I could handle from not thinking very hard about what I was doing. So that's 2 game overs in 1 stage. I'm a little bit ashamed of that. This does tend to be a level that kind of throws me for a loop whenever I play it, but I was hoping that wouldn't be the case this time. This has been a really scatterbrained video. But let's use Wario's amazing... Oh, okay. I was going to use Wario's amazing ability to inhale money to get all the coins that exploded out of the boss, but the boss didn't explode into coins. So that didn't end up happening. I'm sorry, Wario, you're going to have to go on a diet today. No copper coins in your esophagus today. And another gold statue to add to our collection. Next level is one of my favorites. Possibly my favorite. Actually, come to think of it, I have a story to tell about that level. Which... yeah. We'll get to that later. So, I will see you next time for... the Wonky Circus. I'm pretty sure it's what it's called. That'll just be the end of every video. I say what the name of a level is, and then I check to see if I'm correct. Wonky Circus. There we go. So long.